Hello again and welcome back. So excited to have you with me for part 2 of our EV8 SketchUp project. Now, as a reminder, we're going through learning some very basics in SketchUp so that we can create a 3D model that we can then add some axles, 3D print some wheels, and use some gravity to have a race against our friends' 3D printed Pinewood Derby cars. Now, when we ended up yesterday, we actually ended up with the outline of the EV8. If you don't remember how to do that, go back and watch this first video. Now that we're here, go ahead and click on SketchUp, go back into SketchUp. As a reminder, if you're with me, you're going to use Login with Microsoft. I'm going to open up this EV8 model, the file that I worked on previously, and I am going to see that it filled in with a solid color. That meant that I have a two-dimensional piece that I'm working with. And I'm going to click that with the arrow, the select, we press space, and I'm going to press delete to get rid of my filled in car. Now, it's not anything to panic about. If you ever want it back, all you would have to do is draw a line across the image and you would have it back. But right now, what we're gonna look at is some of the details of the car. And the EV8 is a marvel of engineering. It is fantastic. And so, it needs to have a way to get in, because what's a car without a door? And so what I'm going to do is draw some lines to represent my door. And then I'm going to tell you something really important about 3D printing lines. Now, you can see in the car, it actually sort of starts here. And I'm going to, follow along the best that you would like to. This is, of course, a car that does not exist in real life. And so if you would like to change the shape of the doors, you are welcome to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is outline kind of the entirety of the door and then show you a tool inside SketchUp that's going to allow us to make something that we can actually 3D print from this, that we can see the detail, okay? So I'm almost done here. I'm gonna go down to the bottom, straight over. I'll just go on the red line, fill it in. Okay, now we've got what could be considered a door. And there are lines in this drawing, but they will not 3D print. And the reason is because if you look at this image from a flat view, there's nothing there. It's all flat. And we're going to be adding some depth, some dimension to this. So follow along with me. Okay, so I've got a door. Now might be a good time to just, maybe for fun, add the other door so you can better see what I'm going to be showing you next. I'm gonna come in kind of like down to this neighborhood. And when I get close, the green line and the red line actually mean something. So that green line right there actually is telling me that that line is parallel with our green line, our green axis. And the same thing with the red line. So I know that line's straight. So I'm going to just click there and then go over. And now when I zoom out, I've got two doors. Now there's nothing there again to 3D print. And so what I'm going to do next is use a tool called offset. And it's right here, offset. Because what I'm going to need to end up doing is creating something that I can add a little bit of depth. I can add that gap that the door would have. So I'm gonna click and not hold. I don't click and hold anywhere in SketchUp. I recommend you don't either. And then you can see like we can create a different span of our gap. And I'm not looking for a big gap in the door. This is a modern car. So I'm going to, on mine, you can see that's about where I want it. Down right underneath me here, it says about 7 millimeters. I'm going to actually type in 5 mm and press enter. And the only reason I'm doing that is then I know exactly how big that gap is. I'm going to do the same thing with the other door. I'm going to click, drag it in, and I'm going to type in 5 mm on that other door. And it might not look like I did anything, but I did. If you ever find yourself lost, maybe in a confusing orientation of the picture, what I recommend you do is click Scenes over on the right and go to Standard Views. you've actually got some options here that are going to make it easy for you to find your work. And in this case, a plan view top is a great option. Now, what I'm going to then do for the next few minutes is go and outline some of the key details of this vehicle. You'll notice that once you get an item highlighted, it's going to turn solid, and we actually want that. This means that that piece is correctly outlined. And so I'm going to delete it for the moment. The headrest is not going to need to be a detail that we're going to push-pull, so we're not going to worry about the headrest at this time. Again, offset. All these pieces need to have some sort of 3 dimensions to them. So I'm going to put this piece back, use that offset tool, and actually push it in that same 5 millimeters to give me that nice even window look. Can do the same thing for the other window on this side. So what I'd like you to do for the next little bit of time is follow along these details. Get the light, get the wheel well. We're ignoring the wheel itself for now because what we're actually going to end up with is separate 3D printed wheels. If we did it right now, we would actually have trouble later. So keep outlining, keep working on these little details, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. One thing I do want to point out when you go to use the circle tool is you can see right below my picture right here that it has a number of sides, and it's kind of a misnomer because obviously we know circles don't have sides, but it's the way SketchUp draws that shape. And so right now, in order to get a nice smooth circle for the arch of this wheel well, what I'm actually going to do is type in a number greater than 24. I like 200 actually. And what I'm going to then do here is from the center, I'm going to use that spot to create the shape of my wheel well, okay? And this is going to be one that we're going to use later. And so I want to have that shape of my wheel to be consistent. So I'm going to get rid of that part right there. And this is going to create an exact circle shape for this particular piece here. So again, the way in which you go and do this is up to you, but I would like, kind of that shape is what I'm going for here. And so I've got this one here that I like. I actually can take and use the arrow, this one right up here, the select tool, and I can copy. I'm going to unselect everything, hold down space that I don't want. I'm going to copy it, Control C, because I'm going to just use that same shape in the back. And so I'm going to paste, Control V, put it where I would like that back wheel well, which for me is going to be like in that neighborhood, going in and continuing to work on this. Now, I do want to point out I accidentally deleted my picture of the EV8. How embarrassing. What I'm going to do is put it back in, File, Import from my device, and find the picture where I had saved it. And because I started out in the origin, I can put it where it was. Maybe I didn't start out in the origin. What a bad example. I can put it where it was, and I can move it down, get it basically lined up where it was, so I can continue to have some basis to go on for the remainder of my design. All right, thanks for watching. As a reminder, this is about where you should be at the end of this step. And if you do have questions, tag the problem, try it yourself, acquire knowledge. And if all else fails, get up and go get help.